Hey everybody, welcome to the stream today. Calvin's already in the channel. Good to see you, Calvin. You just got in a little too early though. If you would have saved your chat for about 30 seconds, you would have seen your big video intro. But that's okay. I'm glad you're here, Calvin. This is number 68 in live coding with your boy Matt Groves. And today I'm going to look at some, let me turn on my light here a little better. We're going to look at some, maybe not start working on them, bot enhancements, but start talking about some of the things I want to add to the bot to sort of enhance this channel a little bit, make it more engaging, more interesting. We'll see where that goes. And then I thought about maybe dipping into some GraphQL with .NET. I did a live stream with my coworker Eric Burchard on GraphQL in Node, and seemed just interesting. So I thought maybe I'd see if I can do something close to the equivalent with .NET, with ASPNET specifically. So we'll dip into that today, see how that goes. So I'm glad you're here. Thanks for hanging out with me. Ask questions, ask away. The only stupid question is the one you don't ask. So don't worry about your question being made fun of. This is a safe place to ask a question, ask away. And it doesn't matter if it's even related to what's going on the screen. If you have a question about coding, about anything at all, just go ahead and throw in the chat there. And same for you watching on YouTube. Leave those questions there, leave those little comments, and I'll be happy to read those on the next stream. All right, doing normal promos here. I am a member of Team Live Coders on Twitch, and I'm going right up against C# Fritz, I think, is going live today at 10 a.m. So we should see him on the list here sometime soon, I think. But you can go to this website, this page, twitch.tv/team/livecoders, and you'll see a list of live coders on the team here, 137 of us. And right now there's 5 of us who are live, and that'll change as the day goes on. We'll come back to this page here at the end of the stream, which I got to end a little early again today. Got another meeting coming up. But we'll come back here to raid one of these streamers. Just keep it going for them. So we'll come back to this list later on. If you're looking for live coders, another place you can check out is the Awesome Developers Streams list. Awesome Developers Streaming. It's github/bnb/awesome developer streams right there on your screen. It has been updated recently, so we'll do our normal little find for people who are streaming about data-related topics. But this is what you can do: is you can just do Control F and type in a keyword. So, for instance, I like to stream on this channel about data, databases, data queries, things like that, back-end type stuff. So I like to see what other streamers are out there doing stuff related to data. So whenever new streamers get added, I want to go and check that out. So just see if anyone else has put that in there. So we have Liz Phillips, and those are normal names. There's myself, Rachel Tatman, Shirley Wu, Ted Young, Go Maestro Go, Jack Ma. It looks like nobody new in the data space. Hit the help key there instead of escape. But that's how you can do it. You can go through and search for a keyword of your choice and do a Control F here. So if you're interested in GraphQL, for instance, Go Maestro Go, also working with GraphQL. There's another one, and we can keep going to see who's working with GraphQL on their stream. So that's a list of everybody that basically submits themselves to this list. It's not limited to just Twitch. It's not related to just the Live Coders team. It's any platform you're doing some live coding, doing streaming. Get yourself on this list, or go check it out. Find somebody who has your interests and same interests as you, and go check out their stream. All right, and you can find old episodes of this show. Check out the link down here. It's bit.ly/GrovesTube. That'll take you to basically my YouTube channel. All the videos from Twitch are on Twitch for a while, and they get exported to YouTube as well. So you can check out old episodes there. Leave a question, leave a comment. Subscribe so you get notified new videos, and so on. And you can also see the bang help button down there. That'll give you, it'll whisper some bot commands to you, so you can interact with the chat bot that's going on right now, that is currently running. Upcoming events. So this was just last night, the Indie Google Developer Group, April 6th. It was a great little group, Indianapolis-based group, and that was recorded. So there will be video of it available. I don't have a link to it yet, but that should be coming up soon. You can always, if you really want to, you can bother MR Dowden on Twitter. He's the one who did the recording, I believe, and so you can check him out on Twitter. But that went pretty well. I uploaded the slides already. I gave that link to him, and the video will be up soon. So if you missed that, you can check it out there. Maybe it'll post into the meetup. I'm not sure exactly. There's also a Twitter group for GDG Indie. You can follow that one as well. The Live Coders Conference is this week, coming up in just 2 days from now. Yes, the Live Coders team is putting on our own conference here on Twitch. It starts at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, Eastern United States time, and you can go here to livecoders.dev to learn more about it. So check that out, see how it goes. I will not be presenting, but I will be attending as much as I can of that conference, just to see my team in action, support my team, and learn some interesting stuff on those streams. So we'll go see how that works. It'll probably be more like an actual conference where it's more presentation oriented than, most live coders are kind of interactive and they're just working on stuff, right? It's not prepared formal material. I expect this to be a little bit more prepared, a little bit more formal, but it's still Twitch, right? So we're still doing Twitch. I'm working on something with the PHP Tech organizers. That conference was canceled. But I'm working on them to perhaps reach out to their mailing list and do the presentation for them anyway, virtually, maybe here on Twitch, like I did with SQL Saturday a few weeks back. So I'm working on that still. I don't have any firm details on that, but that should be coming up soon. And then GDG Cloud, another GDG group, which I found through this one, but this is one's based in Oslo, Norway. You can see this meetup right here. I'll paste the link right in the chat. And you can sign up for that. It's, you don't have to be in Oslo to go to it, but the time zones might work out for you better. But I will be presenting the same material I presented at, well, not exactly the same, but very similar, the same topic I presented at Indie Google Developer Group, presenting it again for the group in Oslo. Oh my gosh, it is a raid. Pixelogic Dev. Oh no, I'm completely defenseless. Help me, Calvin, help me. Defend. I'll give everybody a second to get past the commercial. Let's get groovy. Let's get grooved. Oh, Calvin is defending, except he messed up. That's okay. That's okay. Hey, Pixelogic Dev, thanks for the raid. I appreciate it. Good to see everybody. Thanks for hanging out. We're just getting started here in this channel. I'm just going through some upcoming events that I will be presenting at. I wanted to mention Live Coders because I think Pixelogic Dev, if I think you are a member of the Live Coders team, so I'll give you a shout out as well. Go check out Pixelogic Dev. But the Live Coders conference coming up April 9th, we were just talking about that, and definitely want to check that out. livecoders.dev, get more details about it. Anyway, back to where I was. Yeah, you're going to be a mod towards the evening for the event. Okay, cool. Cool. And then the last one I want to mention is NDC Oslo. This is in June. They've already announced it will be virtual. So what is this? What is this emote you got here? It's a Pog emote, but it's a different Pog than I've normally seen. Anyway, it's your face. So that is you, Pixelogic Dev. All right, that's cool. In Pog form. I still don't understand the Pog thing, but I'll take your word for it. Anyway, NDC Oslo. This was going to be an in-person event, and I was super excited to go. It was my first NDC I've ever been accepted to as a speaker. But it's going to go virtual. They've announced that. It will be June 8 to 12. Don't have many more details yet. They've got some other NDC events they've got to get out of the way first before they can go to work on that. But just keep that in mind. That's coming up. So you may want to check out the NDC conference website and so on. All righty. Today, I had kind of two things in mind. I think we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the chatbots. Maybe not working on it, but talking about planning out what I want to add to it here in the future. And then, not GitHub Actions. No. This is not what I wanted. I wanted to talk about GraphQL in .NET. I spent a stream a week or so ago with a special guest, Eric Bouchard, HTTP Junkie on Twitter. And we went through some blog posts he had written to get GraphQL working against a really simple Node Express backend. Question from Calvin. Speaking of, did you get your GitHub action working? Yes, I did. It is working like a treat. So every time I merge something over into the release branch, it will automatically update the Azure website, assuming all the tests pass, of course. So that's all working great. Hey, thank you for the follow, Jero. I'll just say Jero. There's still a few more tweaks I want to do to the GitHub bot. I still want it to run tests on any sort of pull request or commit in the master branch. I just want it to run the tests and make sure those pass. I don't want it to actually deploy. So I still want to make some tweaks there. That should be no big deal to do that when I get around to it. So that's working great. Some weird things I had to work around, and Calvin helped out with those. So you may want to check out some of the past streams if you are having trouble with GitHub Actions or you're interested in using GitHub Actions yourself. So that's what we're going to do today. I'll talk about some chatbot features. And I'm glad you're here from the raid. Maybe you can give me some feedback, maybe what Pixelogic Dev's doing or what other streamers are doing that you find useful in streams and chatbots. Mine is pretty basic right now. It shows, it records messages. It has some commands to it. Introduce the trout command, so you may want to try that one out, Calvin. Maybe you can trout Pixelogic Dev. That can be our raid defense from now on. We can just slap around the raiders with a large trout. Yeah, chatbot, yes. So if, for instance, I can take Pixelogic Dev and trout him around, and that will make my bot slap them around with a large trout. Whoa, you just made me slap myself with a large trout. It's not exactly like the IRC trout slap, but it commands the bot to do the slapping. So that could be our defense, I think. That's a good idea from now on. If there's ever a raid, we're going to start trouting any of the raiders. Okay, so there's a big chatbot project I'm currently somewhat working on and redoing it. Okay, that's cool. So when I say chatbot, I mean like Twitch chatbot, not like and they're probably very similar, right? But I assume you mean like a chatbot, like an Alexa type interface, or a one of those pop-ups you get at a website, that sort of thing that you provide help with. That's cool though, Mr. Demon Wolf. Oh, it is a Twitch one. Okay. So you're working on a big chatbot project for Twitch. Interesting. Twitch and Discord. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So I probably should set the. I'll just at least plug it my Twitch bot right there. A very simple ASP.NET Twitch bot. Nothing crazy. Uses the Twitch lib and the Twitch lib API to do most of the work. But it uses Couchbase as a backend, which is really wanted to experiment with using Couchbase, because the Twitch lib returns very complex objects. It returns JSON and just throws right into Couchbase and save that data. It's been reworked to be microservices. It has an API, cache, bot, webhook, WebSocket, and the website. Mine is not quite a microservice. It's just one service right now. I mean, I could imagine if it needed to be a lot bigger and handle more traffic, I'd want to maybe split those things out into different services. But right now, I really have need to do that. Okay, so here are some of the ideas that I've written down over the last few months about, and some of my thoughts I've had in my head about this bot, and some of the things I'd want to do with it or give it the ability to do. And these are things that I've seen other channels as well. So maybe I just saw Dan Siegel's channel, for instance. I'll give him a shout out as well. He's on our team, I believe. Dan Siegel. Hopefully that works. But he did a little social media plug that shows up on the screen every so often that shows his Twitter, his GitHub, his LinkedIn, and so on. It's not microservice in some terms, but this is due to the Buddy Works limit on projects. So there's two parts: the server, which is everything but the website, and the website, which is the website. Okay. I think you lost me a little bit there. I'm not sure what Buddy Works means, and used website a few too many times, but. Oh, it's a CI/CD service. Okay. Okay, cool. Never heard of that before. BuddyWorks. So I thought maybe an occasional plug of social media up on the screen, maybe above my head somewhere, up there above the chat that just shows my Twitter, things like that. A ticker message. Always me to deploy to Vulture. Okay, I don't know what Vulture is either. So this is a whole different system, a whole different ecosystem that I'm familiar with. So a ticker message at the top of the screen, or maybe at the bottom of the screen, like this little purple thing I've got over here. Maybe that could be a ticker instead. What do you use, AWS or Azure? So for the chatbot, I'm using Azure right now, but there are other options besides AWS and Azure. There's lots of other things out there. Those are not the only two cloud providers. I've also used in the past, I've used a relatively new one. That's a very basic stripped down one. It's called Spinup. It's a very bare bones cloud provider. And of course, Google Cloud is out there, and there's Oracle Cloud and a whole bunch of other stuff. Yeah, of course, those are the big three: AWS, Azure, and GCP. But there's lots of cloud providers. DigitalOcean is another big one. Clever Cloud, Heroku, which is Salesforce now, things like that. So there's lots of options for cloud out there. So ticker message. I was thinking maybe some sort of rotating picture. I'm not sure if this will be super valuable. I'm thinking about promoting, various tools and companies that I like or that I use a lot. But it's not super useful to just throw a picture up on the screen. It's not going to be clickable or anything. Uh-oh. You know what that means? It's TBD Gamer. Welcome, TBD Gamer. Thanks for stopping in. You get your little intro there. Yeah, Calvin just missed his because he put his chat message in before the actual scene started. Yeah, I love it when a plan comes together. Let's see. DO and Vulture was not considered big ones. AWS, Azure, and GCP. You pay more for their redundancy and to be able to connect their other services each one offers. Well, certainly, yeah. That's kind of the thing. It's like something like Spinup, which is a really bare bones, simple cloud. You don't get a lot of extra services with it. I think they may have some sort of Postgres offering. That's about as complicated as it gets. But it's really, really simple to manage. With AWS and Azure, you have hundreds of different services potentially there, and complex billing things you have to think about. So yeah, but you might really want those services. It might be really useful for you. So that's sort of the spectrum of cloud services out there right now. So I was also thinking maybe something I would show a message to the chat every 15 minutes or so if I want to maybe just automatically say what the current project is, or maybe promote the events I'll be at coming up soon, or do a shout out or something like that. Every 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it will rotate through some sort of message list and just put those in the chat with a link, because those can be clicked on, right? And then I was thinking for all these, to manage the messages, to manage the pictures, to manage the ticker messages, the social media, and so on, I'd want to have some sort of dashboard or control plane for me. It could just be, I modify a JSON document. That might be as easy as that. But some sort of web-based UI that I could modify as well, so I don't have to log into the database to make these things happen directly. And some other commands that have been mentioned. These are not all by me, but mentioned in the chat room in the past is, okay, what if I was able to bookmark something with a little note, and I could get some more coffee. Sounds like a good idea. I should have made some coffee today. Honey, if you're watching this, and I know you aren't, would you make me some coffee? Ryan has a question. Is an economics degree useful? Wow, that's a pretty wild question to ask in a tech channel out of nowhere. I think any sort of degree has inherent value to it. If it comes from a reputable institution, right? But you thought about going back to school for computer science, but I think it's way too hard. There's other things besides computer science that you could go back to school for. There are more, computer science. The one I went to was very much math, logic, engineering, science type of stuff. And so yeah, algorithms, all proofs, all that kind of stuff. It's if you don't like that kind of stuff, or you can't deal with that kind of stuff, yeah, it is challenging. But there are other colleges have degrees that are a lot more practical. It's more business oriented computer degrees, right? So I would say look into, if you're interested in programming, you don't have to go to take a hardcore computer science degree. You can look at other similar degrees. Economics, though, I don't have an economics degree. I do have a business degree. I had to take a lot of economics courses for it. And I will say one of the podcasts I listen to is called Econ Talk, by Russ Roberts. Econ Talk, Russ Roberts. And then some books I've read about economics that I think take a really interesting novel approach to economics, the Freakonomics and Super Freakonomics books. Now, those don't give you a degree, right? But it can show you that economics can be really, really interesting, and you can come up with some really clever approaches to try to analyze and solve problems. So I have an interest in economics. I've taken courses in economics. And Freakonomics is really, really good stuff. Controversial in some parts, but only controversial, I think, if you haven't read the book. Did you go to Wharton? No, I didn't go to Wharton. I did not go to Wharton. My business degree is from The Ohio State University here in Columbus. It's an MBA, actually, not a bachelor's. My bachelor's is in computer science. That was at Ohio University. So the other question, I just missed a question up here. Demon Wolf. No, yeah, Spinup seems pretty cool. How's the performance? So, performance, that's really a really tough thing to say. It seemed fine to me. One thing, if you go back at some of my streams, I worked with Spinup on the streams. We went through setting up VM, things like that. I put Couchbase on a VM, and I made the mistake of being really, really cheap about it. And I tried to install Couchbase and run it. This was some of the to-do app I was working on. And, thanks for the follow, Mr. Demon Wolf. Appreciate that. I'm glad you're here. But I made a mistake of installing Couchbase on a machine that was very, very much below the minimum recommendations. And so it worked at first, but it eventually just, out of memory, crash, wasn't happy. So I would say, there's lots of options on Spinup for cheap machines and more expensive machines. So performance is going to depend on that. Let's see, another question from Ryan. Had you worked as a dev with just a CS degree, would you have been able to get a six-figure job immediately after grad? Okay, so after my CS degree, I didn't go immediately to master's. It was years before I did my master's degree. So right out of college, I did not get a computer programming job. I was a cable guy for over a year. And maybe it's because I was doing something wrong, or I didn't have a very impressive grade point average or whatever. But I also think at least part of the blame is to Y2K, because when I graduated, there was a huge glut, a huge influx of labor, because people were just finishing up Y2K projects, and so there was a huge pool of people to choose from. Why would I pick a college grad when I've got 100 people who have years of experience working on the Y2K problem? So that was tough for me, but I eventually got my foot in the door. We talked about this in the past. Getting your foot in the door is challenging, and it was not a six-figure job. No, not at all. I don't know. Of course, I'm in Ohio, and the cost of living is different here. I don't know where you live and what the cost of living is like there. So a six-figure job may be the norm. If you're that may be in the low end. Six figures, right? That's a pretty big range, but that may be a normal starting salary in like the Bay Area, for instance, and that's not going to get you very far in terms of rent or cost of living, right? But six-figure job. No, I did not get one immediately, but this was back in 2002, 2003. It was definitely a five-figure job. And, I worked my way up slowly in the salary departments. But I didn't necessarily get into programming because of, looking for a big salary. I got into it because I really liked to code. People always told me along the way, oh, learn computers, you're going to be like tons of money. I'm like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. I just want to code. Let's see, Mr. Demon Wolf, been here with Vulture for 3+ years and never had issues. CPUs are really good. Network is a lot better than Spinups, to be honest. You get more than 100 megabytes right out of the box. Okay. I've never used Vulture. I don't have anything to compare it to. since you've just learned about Spinup, you seem pretty quick to say Vulture is better than Spinup without using it. So I'd be hesitant to endorse that opinion, but you're welcome to it. Let's see. Next comment. Depending on where you live, it may sound like a lot of money, but it may not be really depending on where you're living. Yes, that's what I was trying to say. Someone who spends $15K a month for rent in a house in California. Right, exactly. So cost of living is a big thing. In Ohio, the cost of living is pretty low, similar to like Houston. Lots of land. Real estate is not at a premium. It's not on the ocean. It's not waterfront, or it's not an island like in Manhattan or things like that. So the cost of living is much, much lower here. 100 megabytes second is a kind of weird limit. It's what smaller providers do at the start. Okay. Well, yeah, Spinup is like I said, very, very brand new. I just discovered them at a developer week, which is actually, I think, the second to last conference I actually got to attend in person this year, which is weird thinking back to that. But I saw them there. They had a booth. They gave me some free credit. They gave me a coupon code. I don't know if it still counts, but if you want to use mgroves as a coupon code with Spinup, they'll get you some free credit there. You're welcome to do that. I haven't been to Spinup since that to-do website I worked on. I moved it over to Azure just because of the, I already had a Couchbase server running there, so I said, okay, well, I just want to make this work. Yeah, they gave me a code. I did a couple streams where I used Spinup and tweeted about it a few times, and not an official sponsor or anything, just, if you want to try out a simple, no fuss cloud provider, really basic, you're not going to get all the services that Azure and Amazon provide, but you're also not going to pay a lot for it. It's really flat, simple pricing, so definitely want to check that out if you're looking for one of those no-frills providers. They're not going to have GitHub Action integration, at least easy, right? Integration, that kind of stuff, right? But it's a really simple place to start with the cloud. AWS onboarding is the worst thing ever made. I dabbled in AWS a couple of years back. I did not find it a pleasant experience. That may be because I sort of started with Azure, and Azure used to be an unpleasant experience as well. But they made a lot of improvements to the Azure portal, and it's really, really good. The number of services is still overwhelming. There's so many different things out there. There's overlapping services, and it can be overwhelming to start out, right? So there is that. But Calvin says it's terrible. I think he's using AWS as his current employer, so he probably has a little more up-to-date experience than me. Mr. Demon Wolf loves Azure. I don't know if I love Azure, but I like using Azure. There's lots of things about Azure that I like. Okay, so yes, full-time. Luckily, you don't have to manage it. Okay, so you got someone else to manage the AWS stuff. Well, that's kind of nice. Have someone else do all the dirty work. But these are some other commands I was thinking about, so I don't even know what followage or follow age means. Uptime, I guess that would be how long the stream's been going on. Kind of interesting, I guess. About, it's kind of like the stuff you see down here below the page. It would just tell you about me, about the stream. Same thing with info. Lurk was something interesting. Quality Coder suggested this one, that it just says, hey, thank you for lurking. It just kind of, as a way of saying, hey, I'm here, but I'm just sort of lurking in the background. Follow age gets how long you've been following a channel for. Oh. How long? I'll just copy and paste you from your message here, Mr. Demon Wolf. How long you have been following the channel for. Okay. That's interesting. I'd probably have to get that from the Twitch API, I'm guessing. Uptime is easy. You just take the start time via the API request and see how long from the time command is ran. Right, so that's how long the stream's been going, basically. How long has the stream been going? You use moment for this. Okay, that moment's I assume you mean moment.js, like the JavaScript library for dealing with dates and times. Yep, yeah, I used a lot of moment back in the day when I did a lot more JavaScript. Moment.js is life at times. Yeah, absolutely. Moment.js is to date and times in JavaScript as jQuery is or was to DOM. It's just a necessity because JSON, for instance, has no concept of time. There's no time in JSON. There is like a date or something like that in JavaScript, but it really is weird. Like it's a zero-based month. It's just super weird, some of that stuff. So Moment deals with a lot of that. It's great. I still don't mind jQuery. It's just cleaner in my eyes sometimes. jQuery, nothing wrong with jQuery. I know it's kind of old hat these days, but jQuery is a valuable tool. Maybe less so because the browsers are a little more cross-compatible, but I think there's still some good stuff there. Okay, so that's the plan there. So thank you for those notes there, Mr. Demon Wolf, and I'll think about which one of these I want to prioritize, which do I think is more important. But those are some bot ideas. So we're going to move on now into a whole brand new area for me. Well, mostly brand new. Yeah, it feels good, man. We're going to look at some GraphQL with .NET. So I'm going to try to do a similar approach to what Eric and I did. Well, mostly Eric, I should say, with the GraphQL and Node.js. But I want to try it in .NET. I think ASP.NET is where I want it to try it. Just going to walk through it and see how complicated this is. I'm going to hook it up to Couchbase, of course, hopefully if we get that far, and see how it goes. So ASP.NET Core, web application in C#, that looks good to me. And we're going to put this in zproj, my folder of choice, and we'll call it Hello World GraphQL. What is Couchbase? So maybe I just need a bang Couchbase, what is Couchbase or Couchbase command? Because I mentioned it a lot in this channel. It is a NoSQL database. Right here, I've got Couchbase running locally, the Enterprise Edition. The only thing I use is MongoDB. Yeah, Couchbase is a document database like MongoDB. Yeah, Enterprise. There's also a community version of it as well. But Couchbase is a distributed NoSQL document database. Wait, you paid for it? No, I work for Couchbase. I work for Couchbase, A. B, Enterprise Editions are still a free download. It's totally free for you to download. Try it out as much as you want to before you put it in production. Totally fine to use it as much as you want to. Yeah, yes, really. Couchbase.com/downloads. Go here to downloads. You have to fill out a form for the Enterprise Edition, but you don't have to enter a payment or buy a license or anything unless you want to go into production, right? So this is the new download page. Haven't seen this in a while. But yeah, Couchbase Server, Enterprise Edition. Get it for Windows, Linux, Mac, whatever, and download it there. Also, Community Edition, totally free for everything, even in production. 6.5.0, so they're currently on par. 6.5.0. There's a few features that are only in Enterprise that are not in Couchbase Community. But yeah, go for it, man. And it's also on Docker. That's why I'm actually using Docker. I'm not installing it directly on Windows. I'm using it in Docker. So this is technically, it's running on Docker Desktop for Windows, and it's running on Windows, but it's running in a Linux container. It really does not stop for use in production. Don't quite understand the comment there, but community, yeah, you can use it in production. Absolutely, no license required. No, you don't have to purchase a license. I should say to use community in production. Absolutely, Enterprise. I mean, technically, it won't stop you from putting it in production, but you do have to agree to the terms of service when you install it. And one of those terms is that you can't put it into production environment without purchasing a license. It's not like we have an army of lawyers like Oracle or anything, but yeah, that's one of the things you have to agree to. I see what they did there. Okay. So yeah, if you're interested in checking out Couchbase, it's on Docker. You can download it directly. We've got something that's kind of in beta right now. Couchbase.com/ I don't know, is this the right address? Couchbase Cloud. This is a fully managed database as a service offering. It's currently in like a kind of a limited beta. It's basically, we don't want you to do this and this, but we can't really stop you. So look, I'm not a lawyer. I do not, these statements do not represent like, I'm not giving you advice on Couchbase, but yes, there is a agreement, license agreement there that basically says you will not put it in production if you're using Enterprise Edition. I would definitely run that agreement by your lawyer before you do anything dodgy. But if you're just trying it out, if you're just doing like a hobby project or something, go for it. Try the Enterprise Edition. It's fine. We encourage people to download and try it out. But you can also use a community, totally free. If you want to put something in production with Couchbase, use a community. Throw it out there. It's fine. You're not going to get some of the features like analytics and eventing, multi-dimensional scaling, things like that. But you can still do a lot with the community edition of Couchbase. But this is right here. This is Couchbase Cloud. This will be coming a little wider release later this year. Well, hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah, I'm not a lawyer is the best one. Okay. I guess so. You love that part. Okay, so anyway, Couchbase, database. And I'm going to create a application, ASPNET application, that's going to hopefully expose a GraphQL API. And it'll be running Couchbase behind the scenes, but we're going to get started there. What kind of pros versus MongoDB? Well, let me tell you my favorite thing. And I don't know if this applies to you because I don't know your background, but my favorite thing about Couchbase is that I can run SQL queries against it. Full-fledged SQL queries with joins and group bys and limits and everything you expect from SQL. I can query my JSON data with SQL. So it's still JSON, but I'm using SQL to query it. That's my number one favorite thing about Couchbase. But the other thing, one of the main differences is if you look at, say, this is a bucket, kind of like similar to a collection in Mongo. If you look at a bucket, for instance, here, there is so it's NoSQL, yeah, basically, which is, one of the NoSQL buzzword is not super useful anymore. This is one of the reasons why, because Couchbase supports SQL. And we actually, our marketing tagline is no equal. But one of the things with Couchbase is you can actually specify a memory quota for each bucket, and this is a cache that the bucket has. So with Mongo, you'd have to bring in something like Redis to get this kind of caching, or even Memcached or some sort of caching tool in front of Mongo. With Couchbase, that cache is built right in. It still saves to disk if you're using a Couchbase bucket, but everything's going through memory first, which makes it very, very fast performance. And we know you like performance, Mr. Demon Wolf. So it's going to be, in many cases, that memory-to-memory operation can be very, very fast. And it's built in is the key there. That's the two things. And there's lots of other stuff that separates it, but those are the two I usually bring up. 10 out of 10, best sales pitch. Well, good. Great. I'm not in sales, though. But I appreciate the compliment there. Where do you send the payment for Enterprise? Yeah, you can write a check out to me, Matthew Groves. No. I mean, if you're serious, there's a way you can contact sales on the Couchbase.com website. But I'm not even exactly sure where it is. I'm not in sales, so my game is more about awareness. And Calvin, yeah, you can pay Calvin directly. He's my handler. All right, you can go to pricing here, Couchbase.com/pricing, and you can talk to sales. So there is a list price and stuff, but depending on what you're going to use for the use case, there's different types of arrangements they can come to. So anywho, yeah, of course, contact sales equals $. So that's what sales does. They sell. That's how they keep the lights on at Couchbase. So yeah, but maybe you should try it before you start throwing money around, Mr. Demon Wolf. I'd recommend just downloading Couchbase, trying it out, and see what you think. Maybe it's useful for your Twitch chat project or some other project you're working on. Okay. I know you're joking. I know it. Okay, so we're going to make this an API project. I think that makes sense. This is .NET Core 3.1. And so here we are. We've got out-of-the-box project. This does the weather forecast, etc., etc. So if I hit Control F5, this should run and give me a little fake weather forecast thing here. And there we go. Weather forecast. Very exciting. So now I need to hook up GraphQL to this. Now the way that Eric did it was he has something called Express, which I will sort of consider to be like ASPNET. ASPNET is to .NET as Express is to Node. And then he had a GraphQL library, and he had a GraphQL Express library. So what I would expect there to be is at least a GraphQL ASPNET, or in this case GraphQL.NET project that might work. So this is the most popular one on NuGet, so I figured I would start here. I recognize this name, Simon Kropp here. So that's something. This has been updated relatively recently, so it seems like it's an active project. Got some broken images here. 1,080 commits. I see what they did. Okay, yeah. It's active project, a lot of commits. So here's how you install it. So we've got GraphQL, and then you pick a JSON implementation. Okay, NewtonSoft with .NET Core 3 lacks async. Yeah, this is one of the reasons I think that Microsoft created their own JSON, a newer JSON library, was because NewtonSoft didn't support async. Hey, are you a subscriber, Mr. Demon Wolf? I don't remember you subscribing. Thank you for the subscription. Whenever you did that, thank you for that. And I see you're using the emote that you get there. It says nope, you're not subscribing. I thought that was only available to people who are subscribed. It says Twitch Prime next to your name. No idea. Oh, channel points. Oh, okay, that's right. I forgot about the channel points. Yeah, thanks. Yes, that's right. You can use channel points. Actually, in this channel, they're called buckazoids. But go down here to the underneath your chat, and you can spend your buckazoids on something. Okay, that's right. So he just means he does have Twitch Prime. Okay, he's not a subscriber. Got it. Understand. Yours says turbo next to your name, TBD. What does turbo mean? I see the moderator. That's successful. But I don't know what turbo means. Anywho, you have 7 billion buckazoids. I don't think I've been around that long to where you could earn 7 billion buckazoids. $9 per month to turn off ads entirely, subscriber or not. So that's okay. So that's Twitch Turbo. That's interesting. Turbo was meh. All right. So I guess I don't really care which JSON library. I like NewtonSoft, but you know, it sounds like it's a little bit of extra work to use that with Core 3.0. Prime was the best thing when it had ad-free, but they lost a lot of money, so they removed it. So it was like $10.99 plus $9.99 for both. Okay. My get feed is the primary source of packages. We're going to find all preview versions. Okay, I don't necessarily want to try a preview version, so I'll just stick to the NuGet documentation. Examples. Let's check out this documentation here. Here's a hello world example. Okay, so this doesn't look like... looks like just like a console app. Oh, no. This is, okay. This is the query language. Okay, fine. But what I want to set up the other end of this. Star Wars, query, schema first, nested types. Okay, well, this is a lot to take in here. Executing queries by using a type system you define for your data, right? Isn't tied to any specific database or storage engine, right? And backed by existing code and data. Well, existing, not really true here, but okay. Defining types and fields on those types and providing functions for each field on each type. So I set up a schema, which is, in this case, he's setting up a schema with a query, and then execute the schema. So how do I mean, none of this looks like it's ASPNET, which is fine, except wouldn't I want to have GraphQL running in an ASPNET application? Maybe not, I don't know. Let's go to, let's see, let's go to examples here. You can also try example of GraphQL demo server inside this repo. Server. Is that different than what I'm doing here? So examples. So here's the Star Wars again. Azure functions. Okay, that makes sense. That's technically ASP.NET, but it's, you know, a limited window of ASP.NET. ASP.NET Web API. That's with the .NET framework. Custom GraphQL. Playground middlewares from server project. What is playground middlewares? Let's see. Well, so I guess I'll look, I don't know. Let's look ASP.NET Core Custom. Let's see what that looks like. npm install, npm run webpack, npm start. What's that got to do with .NET? This doesn't look like .NET at all. This is like a Node application. Why does it say ASP.NET Core Custom? A little confusing there. What about ASP.NET Core? Example. So we've got a startup, a bunch of singletons. This looks like Star Wars here. Add logging, okay, add GraphQL. This is what I'd expect to see, something like this. Use GraphQL, use GraphQL Playground. And that may be kind of the thing that Eric was showing. I forget what it was called. It was Graph GUI or something like that. Maybe that's what that is. It's a .NET equivalent. Okay, and where are all those classes at? Like all these human type, human input, Star Wars, mutation, all this kind of stuff. Where does that come from? Using Star Wars types. Oh. Okay. Okay, got it. So here's the query. Okay. I guess so. Star Wars data. Here's the actual data. It's just hard-coded in this case. But this is kind of like a little repository. Okay. Then Star Wars query. Object graph type. This is just passing in that little repo here. Field character. Seems like, I don't know. Arguments, field type human. Object graph type of object. Well, I don't know. I think I'm just going to have to start some coding here and just kind of figure this out. But if we look at ASP.NET Core, example, startup. Let's go here first. I don't know what add HTTP content. Oh yeah, I think I know what that means, but I don't know if I need that right now. So I'm going to try doing this. We're going to go to startup. And we'll say services, I'll add GraphQL. So I got to actually add it, right? Which is what GraphQL. Just add the GraphQL project and see what happens. So there's GraphQL. 2.15 million. That seems like probably, I'm not going to get the preview. I'm just going to get the latest stable. Okay. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, right. Okay. No definition for that. Huh? GraphQL server, GraphQL types. Why isn't it showing up? I don't have those. Okay, I'll go back here to the example. GraphQL server transports ASPNET. Oh, I didn't add the NewtonSoft thing. Or I guess what I want to do is just use the system text JSON. I don't know, I'm kind of struggling with getting started on this, like getting a handle on it. I feel like I kind of understand, you know, you set up queries and you set up objects or classes, right? And just go from there, but this doesn't seem quite as straightforward as Eric's example. Now, of course, Eric did a lot of the hard work to make it straightforward. Yeah, you have type of whatever, and then you have type query. Fully featured examples. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at, was those examples. Is there any older branches, maybe? No? This is using the 3.5 stuff, but it's not using this. Yeah, using GraphQL, using types. Well, I am confused by this. Is there something else I'm missing? It's like an ASP.NET extension. GraphQL client. I don't really want a client. Probably more appropriate for a Blazor application, would be my guess. What am I missing here? Well, I don't know. Let's just like GraphQL, I don't know, getting started. Oh, I should probably say .NET. Yeah, this page. I was here already. Oh, this is a Redgate post, and it's interesting, with ASP.NET. Okay, yep. The general idea, right. Okay. API. Okay, so that's what I've done so far. It's got this whole schema thing. GraphQL. GraphQL. That's the thing that I think Eric was using. Okay, so why don't I go ahead and add that while I'm here. Yeah, sure, why not? Okay. Project create all the models. They're called entities. Yep. Okay. More fields and relations happening here. So I just want to keep that simple. I might come back to this, but let's see how do I actually set this up? So that's just like that repo sort of thing. Okay. Well, that's not quite right, is it? Because this is the URL. We were talking about this. Like the URL structure in this case is more descriptive. This has nothing to do with GraphQL, I don't think. right? So this looks like a GraphQL query. Object graph type. Fine. Oh boy. Why it gotta be more complicated? This is a lot. I'm just looking for like a real simple hello world type example. Just like with Eric's sample with Node. Okay, let's see what they're doing here. So repositories, owners. Okay, yeah. This is using Entity Framework, which I don't necessarily want to do that either. But it might be the case that Entity Framework has like a GraphQL connector or something like that. Add NewtonSoft. Okay, whatever. Integration of GraphQL. Yep, so there's that. Oh, okay. So maybe this is it. GraphQL server transports ASPNET core. Let's try adding that. What did I add here? Oh, GraphQL. GraphQL. I'm going to call it GraphQL. Okay. And we're going to do latest stable on that one. See, that seems more ASP.NET Core related. So let's see if that comes up now. Looks like no. .NET Server. Well, this is a different repo. There's GraphQL.NET and then there's GraphQL.NET Server. Interesting. Okay. All right. A lot of stuff going on here. Do I need all this stuff here? Let me just copy this over, I guess. Oh, look at that. It's actually showing up. Just go back to SOAP. Well, so that works now. So that's the library I'm looking for. GraphQL server transports ASP.NET Core. Fine. So maybe I don't need all this stuff. Oh, I think I do want to use this. That was mentioned. I remember seeing that mentioned. Where do I get that from? That's a whole separate library, I guess. Add system text JSON. Where does that come from? It doesn't show the namespaces up here. Just figure it out. Just a little Google search. I don't know. Can I just do a NuGet search for that? Will that show up any results? You know, Calvin, I've never actually used SOAP before. My entire career, believe it or not. I must have just missed the window on that. Okay, so I don't know. Maybe I don't need that for now. I don't know. You, unfortunately, did work with it a few times. You got soapy. So this little article got me part of the way, but I don't know about this. Maybe I'll just leave this off for now. Okay, second library. Yep, we got that. Finally, we'll install Playground library. Help us send GraphQL queries to the server. So again, I'm not sure if that's the same thing as GraphQL or something like a competitor to it. I don't know. But I'll go ahead and install that. Okay. So I kind of like the format of this article so far. Create a folder in GraphQL. Sure, why not? GraphQL, if I can type. Okay, and then GraphQL schema. Sure, why not? With a single class called AppSchema. Hello, new folder, let's go. I can't do an alt insert there. Add, oh, what was that? No, I don't want that. Add folder. What was it called? Gosh. GraphQL schema. GraphQL schema. And it says to create a file in there called appschema.cs. Appschema.cs. Okay, did that. This class must inherit from the schema class, which resides in the GraphQL types namespace. So I should do this. Okay, there's GraphQL types, so that's good. Inside the constructor, we inject iDependency resolver, which is going to help us resolve a query mutation or subscription objects. Fine. What's important to know is that each of the schema properties, query mutation or subscription, implements iObjectGraphType, which means that the objects we're going to resolve must implement the same type as well. Okay, so let's leave this one for a moment and create a new folder, GraphQL types, with a single class owner type inside the GraphQL folder. So this is going to correspond to some piece of data, I guess. So in my case, let's just say I'm going to make a, I don't know, let's create another folder called models, and I'll make a class called airport. I think is what Eric did as well. Give it an ID and a name. And what else is in there? Airlines. Type equals airport. So we've got airport name, not name, but airport name. Do some camel casing there. And we've got a country. Sure, why not? Public string country. Okay, so I've got an airport. That's just a POCO represents data. I don't necessarily want all the data from the document, just that for now, just to get us started. Okay, what else? What was the next? Okay, so let's leave this class. Okay, create a new folder, GraphQL types, with a single class owner type inside the GraphQL folder. So GraphQL types. Add a new folder, GraphQL types. And we'll create, this is owner type, but I'm going to call it airport type. I assume I'm on the right track here. And that's going to inherit object graph type of whatever, object, hello? Graph type of airports. Airports. Yes, like so. Okay, and then it has a constructor. Inside that constructor, I'm just going to just put some fields in there. Whatever this means. This kind of reminds me of Entity Framework. ID property for the airport object. And then say airport name. It's just seem kind of redundant, these descriptions. I don't know if they're necessary. But country. Okay, fine. This is the owner side class. It's replaced from the owner inside a GraphQL API. Fine, fine, fine. Okay, the field method specify which fields represent our properties from the owner model class. Okay. Continue, let's create another folder, GraphQL queries, with a class app query. Folder, GraphQL queries, with a class app query. Inside the GraphQL folder. Okay, repository. Forget the repository stuff for now. App query. That's going to take in a repository, which I don't have. Oh, this is supposed to inherit from object graph type. List graph type of airport type. And this is just going to get everything, all the airports, let's say. And I probably would want to create a repository or something like that, but let's just call it, I don't know, let's just call it iBucket context. Because I'm going to add Couchbase dependency injection here. Internet seems clogged these days. I don't know what it is. I noticed this last night too. Just bringing up random sites on my phone, it seemed a little slower than normal. Okay, so we'll get to that stuff in a second. Oh, it's not iBucket context, is it? Is it bucket context? Or what is it? It's, man, I can never remember this stuff. Couchbase extensions, dependency injection. Looking for dependency injection. Couchbase publishes a package with package description as the description. Where did you see that? Right here? Oh, so this is not an official Couchbase package. This is open source. That's why it says package description there. Yeah, I wonder if I'm going to make a note to see if I can submit a pull request to fix that. Couchbase extensions. It's not, like I said, it's not an official. It's an open source project. You can see the name here is Brant Burnett. He's not the only contributor. I don't think he's the main contributor. He's not a Couchbase employee. It does say Couchbase Incorporated. It is under probably the Couchbase Labs repository, so it's kind of in this weird sort of middle area. But that is a good, well spotted. So I'm going to see if I can't submit a pull request somewhere to get a better description in there. But anyway, where was I here? Bucket provider, not bucket context. Bucket context is link. Bucket provider. And then I'm just going to say bucket equals bucket provider dot get bucket travel sample. This is kind of a hacky way to go around it, but I just want to get something working that I can refactor. And I'm just going to say get all airports. Create myself a little method here. List of airports. It's supposed to return airport type, right? So how does that work? Interesting. Okay, well, I don't know. Figure it out. So the query to do that will be select, and it should not be star, probably, but we're going to start there from travel sample where g.type equals airport. Okay, the query will be query request.creates with the nickel. Query.scan consistency. It's not going to matter for this, but I'll put it in here anyway, just so I don't forget. And result equals buckets dot query airports using query return result dot rows. Should probably make this async, but again, we're going to just want to get something working. Okay, just so I know I'm on the right track with GraphQL. Okay, this inherits from the object graph type. Fine. Field. Okay. The owner's parameter is a field name, so yeah, I call it airports. Now modify our app schema class. Where is app schema? Right here. Okay. It seems like a lot more work and a lot more ceremony than it was with Eric's sample. But this may be better in the long run, I guess, for a larger project with more types of queries and objects. Because his was just one long file, basically. So we'll see. Okay, in the startup class, we need to register our install dependencies, create schema class as well. Okay. Yeah. Dependency resolver. It's interesting. Add GraphQL. So back and configure services. So maybe I'd get rid of this stuff. Paste this in. Okay. I've never seen this before. This is interesting. Func dependency resolver. Huh. All right. And then down here in the configure, where was that? Is that right before? Okay. Right there is probably fine. Okay. Cool. All right. And then, okay, so I have to set up the Couchbase stuff too. Services.add Couchbase. Like this. Again, just hard coding it, but x.username equals administrator. X.password equals password. If I could type at all, x.servers is just going to be a new list of URIs. Just one URI in this case. It's just localhost. Okay, I think that should be good enough. And so by doing this, it just makes the bucket provider available, which I just turn around and grab a bucket from. Again, that should be detail that's probably in a separate class that's passed into here. Because it's more of a tight coupling, but it's fine. It's fine for now just to get this to work. Okay, so let's just see if this, I don't know, is this compiles? Is this going to run? Seems like weather forecast. Okay, where's the actual URL? So playground/UI/playground. What's happening when I go there? Is that going to work? Okay. There's this GraphQL endpoint, which that looks familiar. This is not the same tool that this is a different tool, but it's the same kind of purpose. It's like a sandbox for writing GraphQL queries. Okay. Does this show any sort of docs or schema information? It should, right? But it's returning an error. So I may have done something wrong. Let's look at the traffic here. It's doing all kinds of crazy stuff. It's returning a 500 error every time, so something's wrong there. Let's expose those exceptions. I don't know. I just spotted that. Let's do it. I want to see those exceptions. I want the playground though. So does this go to anything? This might be where the 500 is. A query is required. So that's good, right? I guess a query should be required. So that seems to be working. But we're getting... Okay, well, let's go back here. It's working as it's supposed to. It's not working as it's supposed to. What did I miss? What did I miss? Doesn't seem to have any effect. I have schema. Dependency resolver. Yep, fine. Resolves that query. That query. I assume this would work. Why don't we try in debug mode and see where an exception happens? If an exception happens. UI/playground. Gotta love them C-sharps. Dota 2 attitude. What's going on? Thanks for stopping in. I do love them C-sharps. It's my language of choice. Hanging out. Me too. Me too. Just hanging out. Got about another 20, 30 minutes here in the stream. Oh, you're on lunch break. Cool. What's for lunch today? Another 20, 30 minutes in the stream, and then I'm going to shut down. I got a meeting at 12 o'clock my time. What kind of sandwich, though, Dota? You need to share this information with us. What kind of sandwiches does Dota 2 Attitude eat? Ham. Ham sandwich. What do you put on a ham sandwich? Dota 2. We now switch over to sandwich talk. I like talking about sandwiches. It's lunchtime's getting close, and I'm going to have my lunchtime right during this meeting. So I'm going to be hungry afterwards. Some mayonnaise, I assume. Some ham. That's it. Man, this sandwich sucks. Nothing wrong with that, man. That's a solid ham sandwich. I like to throw some Swiss on my ham sandwich. And some mayo's good too, absolutely. But usually my ham sandwich I like to throw on other meats, you know, some salami, some pepperoni. It's not really a ham sandwich anymore. Gotta watch language. Sucks is probably okay. That's not too bad. Arby's has the meats. Arby's is probably, well, it may be tied for the closest restaurant to me where I live right now, if you consider it a restaurant. I could walk to Arby. Taco Boys is better. No way you guys have Taco Boys. I don't know what Taco Boys is. The taco market here is pretty much dominated by Taco Bell. There's some other people like, more specialty ones like Yabo's Tacos, which is Calvin's favorite here in Columbus. Or Chipotle has tacos, I guess. Qdoba. Poor replacement for Taco Boys, Taco Bell. You know what? I love me some Taco Bell. I don't care what anyone says. It is fantastic. I have the palate of a like a 5-year-old. So definitely don't take my recommendations. Did we go to Yabo's, Calvin? Did I go to Yabo's with you at some point? I can't remember. I feel like we did. Dota 2 Attitude, thanks for the follow. And I hope that ham sandwich gets better for you. You probably did. I was into that place for a while. You got to follow purely for sandwich advice. You know what? I'm thinking about converting this channel purely into just live streaming sandwiches. I think I could really make that happen. I don't know what's for lunch today. I don't know if we're having sandwiches or not, but that sounds really good. Oh, I got some comments from Haruhime. She was in the presentation last night. You need a GraphQL interface that picks your sandwich toppings? We can get there. I'm going to just text my wife what's for lunch today, because I am interested. If she has not decided yet, I'm going to say sandwiches. I'm going to suggest sandwiches. Some API calls to get and put those toppings. You know, you should never program while you're hungry, because it's just going to be all sandwich or food examples. You're going to segregate your concerns? A sandwich is not segregated. It's all together. You're going to make your first trip out in almost a month. Finally have to go to the store. I wish you luck. TBD Gamer, best of luck. Hope you're masked up or whatever you need to do to make it happen. Good luck out there. And, get yourself a little extra treat while you're out, because I think you deserve it. Swipe left for bad sandwich. Swipe right for good. Good ones get stored in a gist. You've got a TMNT mask made by wife. No kidding. That's pretty awesome. Are you calling it a TMNT mask because that's what Shredder wore, or because it has some sort of TMNT print on it? You know, I'm thinking a Tinder for sandwiches, Calvin, is actually a pretty good idea. It has TMNT print. Okay, that's cool. I was so into TMNT when I was a kid. For like a year or two, it was TMNT nonstop for me. Have a good trip, TBD Gamer. We'll see you later. Your Tinder sandwich will get as many swipes as your real Tinder. Don't say that, Dota. Although, you can spice up a ham and mayo sandwich a little bit. Throw some cheese on there. Maybe get some rye bread. Make it a real good sandwich. Just dress it up. But as long as there's good ham in there, that's the key. Your Tinder gets tons of swipes. It only takes months to get tons of swipes. I am kind of glad that I was married long before any of these dating apps really took off, like Tinder, because I feel like I would do very badly on Tinder myself. So what is the problem here? What did I miss? What did I miss? You won the marriage thing clearly. I guess so. I feel like a winner. Yeah, we're not filtering. Calvin added some abbreviations, but I'll let it slide, Dota. Just take it easy there. No reason to get rowdy just because your sandwich is a little not living up to your expectations. All right, did I miss a step up here? We got all this stuff with, entity framework and repositories. I'm not doing entity framework, so I can skip that. I don't need to know any of that stuff. Type of account, don't need to know any of that stuff. That's just all, entity framework details. This is what this is. Okay. This is like a starter project. Okay, that's fine. Integration to GraphQL. So I installed a GraphQL package. Yes. Transports. Did I install this? Pretty sure I did. Models equals interfaces. Views equals implementation, I think. You're talking about their sample project? Yeah, I did install this one. Okay, the .NET framework. Okay, in .NET we just call them interfaces and implementations. Views is, generally speaking, it's going to be Razor, HTML type of thing, or raw JSON if you want to think of that as a view. If I recall correctly, the GraphQL thing goes directly to the database where you go through the models. Most databases, at least right now, do not support direct GraphQL access. There are a few you can get modules for, but most of the time, the GraphQL is something, you define a query, you define a schema, and then you have to implement the query to whatever database you're using. So there may be, for instance, like an entity framework connector or something to GraphQL. I don't have entity framework here. I can't use entity framework. So that's a step that entity framework might handle some of that for me. I don't know. I've never done it before. Entity is a fancy term for models. Right. Yeah. We're not. Yeah. And kind of the fancy word for models. Entity is more like I don't know, like a model would be, okay, you have first name, last name, date of birth. The entity is, okay, it's Matt Groves, January 1980. Kind of. It's not exactly an implementation interface sort of thing, but I think I see what you're saying. Okay, model equals user table, I think, has those fields, first name, yeah. A table or, whatever. I'm not using tables in my case, but yeah, you got the general idea there. But I'm not even using entity framework, so that's not even part of the equation right now. ASPNET core, do I have that? Yep. Oh, wait. Server. Okay, yes, okay. Playground library, yep, got that. Although I don't need this. I don't know if this is causing any problems, but I'll install it just in case it is. I'm using the playground instead. Not for any particular preference, it's just following this example. App schema, did that. Inherits from schema, right? Inherits from schema, fine, which is a GraphQL schema type, fine. Dependency resolver, yep, okay. Oh, that's fine. Did all that. Repository skip. Skip that. Did this. Owners. I didn't say owner, I said airports. Yep. Yep, okay. List graph type is the representation of the list type. Okay. Owners, parameters, field name. Yep. Don't care about DB context or repository, so just ignore those. This is the GraphQL stuff and dependency resolver stuff. App schema, that's all fine. Well, this is 2.2, so hopefully that's not causing a problem. Use GraphQL app schema. You're looking at the GitHub GraphQL .NET implementation. That's what this is. This is the one I'm using, GraphQL for .NET. I started starting out here and going through some of these getting started guides, and I was kind of confused. Like here's the introduction to GraphQL, and I found this blog post which seems to be more up my alley, what I'm trying to get at, but it's not exactly working. I get this far, and I'm getting an error message from the playground. So let's try it again. I took that library out. Unexpected token S in JSON at position 0. So, I didn't actually have. Where is the JSON? Yeah, that's a good question. I didn't actually say use a specific JSON library, but this one didn't say I had to do that. Oh, wait here. But this is also using ASP.NET 2. Okay, for ASP.NET 3, okay, I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna use NewtonSoft JSON. NewtonSoft for ASP. Okay. Do I just have to install NewtonSoft? That can't be right. That wouldn't come with that extension. GraphQL NewtonSoft, yeah. There's no JSON there still. It's in preview. Which one do I want? I don't see the file in that method. Which file are you talking about? And which method? The JSON file. There's no JSON file. That's the error message I'm getting from here. Unexpected token S. Did you serialize into the method? It comes from the database. So the database, all it's doing is just querying all these. It's querying JSON, right? And but it's returning it as a list of C# objects. We're not returning JSON. I'm just returning objects. I mean, so I can. This wasn't actually. We'll just try debugger. Sounds like GraphQL wants JSON. Right. Because I assume GraphQL query will return JSON. Yeah, the serialized words in that function. And which function? The add Newton. Yes, yes. So I'm thinking maybe I need to be more specific about how to serialize the JSON. But which one of these do I use? Can you link the article? Yeah, the one I'm following along with is right here. Yeah, and that's actually a good idea. I'm going to go ahead and set current project, even though we're almost done, to GraphQL.net. Let's install the NewtonSoft JSON library. It doesn't say which one, though. Is search going to help me? NewtonSoft JSON GraphQL. I don't know. We can try this one, I guess. This is a preview, though. Let's try this one. See if that does it. Oh, it doesn't want to use that one. NewtonSoft, you can go away. So at this point, all I have to do is modify connection string. Yeah, that's nothing to do. That's connection string is just for the database. It has nothing to do with what I'm doing here. I hard coded the connection stuff here with Couchbase. So I'm doing something different than that article. I'm not using Entity Framework. This is a weird port. Yeah, it's just it's a port specifically for Couchbase. But I think something with JSON is going on here. Is my assumption right now, which I could be wrong. Let's try this one. My database is Couchbase. But the thing is, I'm not even getting that far. I'm not even getting to the point where we're querying data. We're not getting past the GraphQL yet. I just want to install this. Yeah, it's NoSQL. That's right. Okay. So I set a breakpoint where it actually queries a database, and it's not hitting that breakpoint. So we're not even getting that far. So there's something else with the setup here. It might be JSON related. I'm not exactly sure what the issue is. But I don't know. I think probably want to revisit this on Thursday. So show the query. Yeah, I can show the query. It's right here, but we're not even getting that breakpoint, right? So this is the query. I can show you this running successfully too. Oh, you know what? It's not running successfully. Yeah, it's looking a lot like regular SQL. Yeah, it is, because that's correct. So this is Couchbase. It's a NoSQL database. Data stored as JSON, but we can query it with SQL. That's one thing that makes Couchbase very unique, is you have full SQL language, so joins and group by and everything like that. Now, I did have a small syntax error. I doubt that's the problem, though. I'm supposed to alias this with a T. Like Azure Cosmos, a little bit, except a lot more SQL. So you can't do a join in Cosmos. Until recently, you couldn't do a group by. I don't think you can do unions or common table expressions or insert, update, delete, merge. These are things you can do in Couchbase. The language is called Nickel. It's the implementation of SQL. And I'm going to post a little link here to an interactive tutorial, like a sandbox, if you want to learn more about it. You can go through a whole series of lessons. This is totally free. You don't have to install anything. You can just do it right in the browser. But you can go through and see how it works. And Christos, thanks for hanging out. Good to see you. But yeah, this is my favorite things about Couchbase, is you can query it with SQL. So I know that can be confusing to say, oh, it's NoSQL, but you're using SQL. Yeah, that's absolutely the case. Now, there was a tiny syntax problem here. I don't think that's the issue, because it just would have returned nothing. So I still think it's some serialization type stuff. Yeah, so it's the same error, even though I got the query right. It's still the same error. So I don't know. I'll have to figure this out later. But we're getting kind of short on time, so I want to leave some time for a nice raid and keep it going with my team. I will just mention again that the Live Coders Conference is coming up on a Thursday. So if you want to learn more about that, you can go to livecoders.dev, put the link right here. That will be a full day of our Twitch team presenting technical stuff, and like a virtual conference type thing. So you want to check that out for sure. Who shall we raid? Looks like C# Fritz is going strong. Lana Lux always has a strong following. She's doing some really cool game dev stuff. I haven't been to Copper Beardy in a while. Let's go raid Copper Beardy. Okay, so if you are a subscriber, you want to copy and paste this message as we raid. Bada bing, bada boom. It's a raid. And if you're not a subscriber, you can use a different emoji, but the bada bing, bada boom is the key there. We're going to go raid Copper Beardy. We'll check out what he's doing. Looks like he's just doing looks like maybe some C#. But chat and chill. So we'll go say hi to him. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I'll be back here Thursday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern U.S. time, and maybe we'll pick up where we left off and look into some more GraphQL with .NET. But thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you all have a good one. Bye-bye.